Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing It, the latest remake hitting theaters, a record-breaking horror movie. Schnars, there have been tens of people on Twitter who are very anticipatory towards our review of this movie.
Tens?
So
Yeah.
We are here to give you that tonight. First up,
All 10 of you.
Joining me tonight on the show, sitting in for Mark in his absence, she is the high priestess of books at Bloody Good Horror. Her name is Cece.
Hello.
Also, symbolologist. Symbols.
Yes, that's what they're called.
Yeah. She's basically like the dude in A Dark Song, if you've seen that. Just like that. But with less back shape.
With less back hair?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you don't know. Maybe I keep it really well shaped.
We don't know.
Next up on the show, joining us tonight from Chicago, Illinois. Isn't that where Wayne and Garth are from, Joe?
Oh, no, they're from
Aurora,
Illinois. Right.
Yeah.
Illinois, though, right? Same thing.
Yeah, beautiful country.
Joe, welcome to the show.
Take it all in, guys. Come to visit. It's going to be -40 in about 3 weeks.
That's great.
Stop.
Make the trip.
Next up on the show, coming to you from Indiana, his name is Casey.
Hi.
Hello. Joe, Casey, I'm all thrown off tonight. You didn't take a rip a fat cloud before the show started.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like
Don't
a
worry, though,
stoner
it's still
from the
here.
future.
And last up tonight, 2 shows in a row, guys. What have we done? I must have done something good this year, Schnars, because
Christmas has come early.
the gods are shining upon me. Please welcome business manager and just all-around sexy bastard, one Mr. John Schnars.
If only everyone in my life was as easy to please as Eric.
Literally all I ask of you is that you show up. Like, I don't even care if you try. Like,
I still have to figure out these words every other week, or, you know.
wah.
You know, with that kind of behavior, that kind of welcome.
Guys, can you feel it in the air? We took 2 weeks off. We got through, well, like, you know, technically, I guess, because it was a week, technically. But, we passed Labor Day. It's now September 14th. It is officially spooky season.
Ooh.
We're in the thick of it, my friend. We are.
Has anyone had any pumpkin stuff?
Oh, I had my first pumpkin spice latte over the weekend.
Really? Nice. That's so
Nice.
basic, Joe.
Oh, I love them. I love them.
Didn't they start doing them in, like, August this year?
Did you get your Uggs out yet?
It's been like a couple of weeks. I don't care. You say what you want. They're delicious.
I don't mind the pumpkin part, but I am not down with like steaming hot milk. I find really disgusting. So
I don't know. I only
no,
drink
that's
black coffee, but
delicious.
for whatever reason, I love a good pumpkin spice latte.
I-
PSL.
I bought a pumpkin spice cider, like a pumpkin cider. It was disgusting. I did not like it.
Oh, really? Yeah, I saw. I meant to ask you.
I mean, it was too
I-
sweet, and that's kind of my beef with ciders in general. Is I just don't like drinking sweet things. So, but I can't drink
Hey,
beer. So
I'm glad you opened up with this, Eric, because I just happened to look over at Facebook and saw your picture you posted today about the start of spooky season with
Yeah.
your favorite dancing pumpkin dude.
Yep.
Somebody showed up because I just happened to be watching America's Got Talent, and in the replays I'd forgotten about it. Somebody showed up and auditioned doing that dance in that costume on
Dude,
America's Got Talent.
it's so,
this year.
it's
Wow.
so good. It happened like about 10 years ago. It was
It was like a local Fox
It was a
affiliate or
local
something, wasn't
weather.
Yeah.
It was a local weather dude on Halloween. He dressed up in the black suit with a dumb pumpkin mask on, and he was dressing to Thriller, I think, originally. And then somebody took it and remixed it to a Kesha song, and just really took it to like the next level. But there's like there's a billion remixes out there, but it makes me really happy. It's right up there to me with like Indian Thriller, like Bollywood Thriller, as far as Halloween traditions, like modern traditions that make me really happy. So that's good.
It's a low bar. It's a low
Listen, man.
bar.
It's all about
Oh boy.
it's all about your
I get it. I
perspective,
get
you
it
know?
though.
Today there's a lot of hot it memes floating around today.
Mhm.
We got one in the video tonight that I'm sure some people will enjoy.
Yeah, I hadn't seen any of these, but you and Casey
It's been like-
turned me on to it.
It's been percolating for a few days, but I saw the Obama one today and I was like, oh, that's good.
Is it time for the percolator?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's time for the percolator.
All right, guys, we got a couple things going on. Spooky season. So the next tweet with BGH has been mildly settled on. We don't have an exact day yet, but we're pretty sure it's going to be the weekend of October 6th through 8th. This is a thing you get as a patron. It's a streaming thing with some new classers. It's Evan, Sophie, Spencer, some other people join in sometimes, and they watch a movie. It's basically like if you remember the old school spooktaculars, but with younger, more attractive people. And they also tweet about
I've been
it.
working out, buddy.
Sorry,
I'm down
Joe.
like 25 pounds.
People listen, Joe. It's just a fact. People do not like to look at old people, like whether or not they're good looking. We cease to exist beyond a certain point.
Dude, the Golden Girls argue against your points pretty
Do
strongly.
you remember that episode of the dinosaurs when he throws his mother-in-law in the tar pit?
Oh,
No.
Basically,
I do.
No one has ever
Casey
referenced
does.
a specific episode of the
Casey
dinosaurs.
does. Thank you, Casey.
I do remember that one.
Anyway, so we're talking the weekend of October 6th through 8th. We're not sure which weekend day, and they're going to do the Houses October Built, which is a weird found footagey thing set around people who like do haunted houses, which I've seen 10 minutes of and haven't seen the rest. So, yeah. So
I
you
think
can.
there's actually a
You're
sequel
really selling
coming
it.
too.
yeah.
Well,
I'm
but
on
it's not
board.
about
Oh,
the.
they're
Dude, we did a movie about zombievers. Like, it's not about the movie. It's about you guys hanging out and watching it. You know.
That was a good movie.
true. There is a sequel, Casey. I did see someone posted that on Slack.
Yeah.
So tweet with BGH, that's coming up. Joe, let's talk a little bit about the BGH 10-year celebration in Milwaukee.
Oh my God, it's gonna be the biggest day of our lives, of your lives, of everybody's lives.
I gotta say, I don't think I mentioned this last show, but I have officially purchased my plane ticket.
Oh, look at you.
Pretty excited.
Yeah,
Exciting.
we're all converging on the beautiful city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
Mm.
October 21st, starting at 6:30 at the Great Lakes Distillery. We're gonna have what we're calling Back to Spooky School. There's gonna be libations. There's gonna be horror trivia. There's gonna be open mouth kissing. I'm sure all kinds of fun. And then at midnight, we are doing a newly restored 4K, whatever the hell that means, showing of Reanimator over at the Oriental Theater.
Joe, it's twice as many Ks as 2K.
So many Ks. It's Y4K, as the kids. So if you guys follow us on Instagram and on the tweets and whatever, you've seen we got a really awesome poster for this, which we're gonna have T-shirts and all kinds of cool stuff going. That's Jeff Harkins.
Yeah,
He
you
created
just
that
pronounce
for
whatever
us.
you want.
And you can find him. He's at GOFFHarkings.com. That's his website. On Instagram, same thing, Jeff Harkings. But
What?
we'll include
Did
him
you
on all
just
the
say-
tweets and stuff.
Did you say GOFF or is it GEOFF?
It's
GEOFF.
Jeff with a G. It just
Jeff with a-
people can figure out how to spell
Sounded
it,
like you
'cause
called
Joe
him
can't.
God.
Look, guys, I don't need fucking details, okay? I'm gonna be there. You get to look at this beautiful face. You're welcome.
Fair
But
enough.
yeah, and I think the only thing, so we tweeted it out and we sent it out to Facebook. But if anybody's in the Milwaukee area and wants to help us promote, we will make it worth your while, whether it's free tickets to the show or whatever. So
Yeah,
you can
so
hit us
that-
up on Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah, that's a big thing. We really need people to help us out, spread the word in Milwaukee. So if you happen to live in that fine city, please hit us up.
Yeah, that would be super. info@bloodygoodhorror.com, or you can tweet us on Twitter at BGH or BG Horror, whatever the fuck we are. Just find us. We're there. We're out there.
It's gonna be great.
We're gonna write this down for Joe going forward.
Nah, don't bother. I nailed it. You're welcome.
I'm plotting and planning how, so I'm coming in Friday, which I wasn't originally going to, because the way I am, if I travel and then spend a night hanging out with people, I'm gonna feel like garbage the next day. So I'm doing it though. So my whole plan is just how do I get through Friday without waking up Saturday and feeling like I'm gonna die?
2 words: cocaine.
Don't sleep.
I mean, honestly, I've never tried that. Nothing else has ever worked, so it might be my time.
Fine
I mean,
time
a lot
to try
of people
it.
seem to be into it. So.
Yeah.
I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend.
So that's really exciting. Bloody Good Horror tenure. Let's talk about Mother.
Oh boy.
Mother.
I'm hearing. So the first trailer looked sweet. That was the one where
Yeah.
that I saw. The teaser's like Jennifer Lawrence like walking through a house, and there's like audio from scenes playing in the background. I thought that was really cool. There's a new trailer that I got in theaters this week that is hella dope. That brings back, as we keep saying here, our favorite trailer trope on Bloody Good Horror that is no longer around. The old school voiceover is in this
I love it.
trailer, and it's like, if you see this movie, poop will come out of your butt.
They didn't say exactly that, but
Exact
it's
words.
it's
That's
in
what
that
they
neighborhood.
meant.
Yeah,
The meaning was there.
for sure.
You'll pee in your own mouth. You'll be so scared. I don't know what it says, but it's like, it's awesome. It's very old school in a way that I really enjoy. But I'll tell you what's
yeah.
making me nervous about this movie, Schnars. Like, I'm starting to see people use words like divisive about this movie, and that's
See, that makes me more excited though. Let's
it
just
does.
get that out
It
there.
does, but that's like that could mean any number of things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
You
making.
know what
I
movies,
guess
like-
it's just it's intrigued me even more about it because I'm like, well, what does that mean?
So admission time. I have not seen Black Swan. I really would like to see it.
Oh, Black
I'd love-
Swan is
you know.
incredible.
I think
Sure,
you'd really like it.
I mean, like, there's no doubt in my mind that I would like it. I would love to watch it. I just,
Yeah.
I got a list of movies a mile long, and here we are. But I mean, you go back and watch Pi. I don't know if you guys have seen Pi. Like, it's like I think his first movie, if not his first, it's like up there. It's a fucking wacky movie, but it's really awesome. I'm sure it was divisive. Like,
Pi was
you-
his first movie. I have not seen that either. You know
yeah.
what?
What the hell's the drug? The
Requiem
drug
for a
movie?
Dream.
So
Oh boy.
Yeah.
as long as we're making
Tell me.
Aronofsky confessions here, I've never seen his like weird time travel-y one, but I feel like that is one what I've heard about that I might like. The it's like
Oh
a-
yeah, I haven't seen that either.
li-
Which
uh,
one?
The Tree of Life.
Oh,
Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's
oh,
super
yeah.
good too. I like it.
Not Tree of
Yeah.
Tree of Life's the other famous
that not-
director.
Oh, that's
It's something
Malik.
like that.
That's Malik. No, so what was that? You know what I'm talking about, John.
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking. I know it's the guy who plays Wolverine, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look
We
it up.
we do a movie
It's fair.
podcast here, right?
Anyway, I think so. Anyway,
No idea what
this
you're
is all.
talking
This is all to say that we are reviewing that next week.
We
So keep an eye out for that.
I mean,
Um,
We're doing
that-
Tree of Life.
Yes.
the trailer you're discussing though, the one with the voiceover, is just it was pretty mind blowing to me. I mean, it's such
The-
like a strong
The Fountain.
thing to come out with. Yeah, the fountain.
Yeah.
It's such a strong sort of like play to say to like be so forward with this movie is so scary. You are always going to remember where you were when you saw it, because the backlash on something like that could be really bad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what happened with like the Green Inferno, and
Yeah, but that movie was just.
well, I mean,
Oh my
it sucked.
God.
I'm not saying it was a good movie. I'm just saying that it was so hyped before it came out.
Whatever,
To
CC.
never-
You must
Fair,
be.
guys. Like it's coming out in a theater. Like
Yeah.
you'll probably remember where you were. Like well, I was sitting there. I was in that theater right there.
CC,
There I was.
CC, if you didn't like Green Inferno, you must be one of those social justice warriors.
There
You know.
go.
I mean,
Nailed it.
I don't care about other people dying. I cared about whether or not animals were dying, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't as bad as Cannibal Holocaust.
No,
What
well,
is
come on.
that
nothing-
quaint mug you are sipping out of there, John? What is that? Can we see that again?
Oh, yeah, it's my tea mug.
That is adorable. Holy shit! Is that a dinosaur?
It's like a floral pattern on there.
It's kind of got like some trees and some like little forest animals on it. You know,
Oh,
it's I think I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah, we're
Whatever.
definitely
Eric thinks we're not fuckable.
Schnars. Yeah, Schnars. Schnars. That's definitely not an old person mug. Definitely not.
I think we got these for our wedding. So
Just
Great.
so John doesn't feel left out, this is my coffee mug from this morning.
oh, very cute.
Oh, that's nice too.
I like it. Yeah. So Mother, I'm very excited. I've like done very little research. I'm not paying attention to the haters, and here we'll see how it goes.
Um,
I think like the negative stuff I've seen has been from like Vanity Fair and
Hmm.
kind of some of these things
Well,
that
sure,
I think so I don't fully take
Yeah.
stock in that.
I mean,
or,
he's
you know
he's
you do,
honestly
but-
like he's an incredible filmmaker, and I like that he hasn't actually made that many movies. Because I don't know, like those are sort of some of my favorite directors, the guys who are like very particular about.
Yeah.
You know.
Because they're trying. when he's like, I'm gonna put
Well,
some effort in here.
It gives
Uwe Boll.
it gives the illusion that they're being a little more discerning about their properties. You know,
I mean, yeah, they're being discerning. It doesn't mean that the quality is higher
Joe,
necessarily.
you know who's really discerning?
Hmm.
James Franco.
Ugh, what a pile of garbage.
So
that
I don't
guy is.
actually mind James Franco, but I'm totally with you that this Disaster Artist movie looks unfucking watchable.
Yeah, absolutely.
don't
Like, I don't get it.
get
Like,
Crazy.
it's based off a movie that like hipsters love to watch because it's so awful with a terrible actor as the lead. Like, great, good for you.
I am super duper interested in this because it's so like and we've probably talked about one of my favorite movies ever is Adaptation. Are you guys familiar with this movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like it to me has like remnants of that where it's like about a fucking kind of wacky person like trying to make something. Now you're right, it's about a weird movie that hipsters like to watch, or I don't even think hipsters like to watch it. It's just like weird movie people like to watch it. But
It's like obnoxious, like, oh, this is so bad, I'm gonna watch it. Like, you can all converge on Brooklyn, drink your PBR, and choke on it while you guys watch this movie.
Tell us how you really feel.
Jesus.
Joe.
oh man, Joe, I don't know that it's any more popular in Brooklyn than anywhere else.
Oh, I
disagree.
assure you it is, Schnars.
I guarantee
assure
it's
you.
showing right now in some theater.
Yeah.
I mean,
Literally.
it's showing in Atlanta right now, so
Yeah.
Boom.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm also like in the pro James Franco camp. So
Why? Like,
Yeah.
what? What of his like makes you?
No,
whatever,
I actually
we
like.
don't need to have this
I
conversation.
actually enjoy James Franco a lot. My wife and I recently saw that movie he did with Bryan Cranston, which actually the trailer, if that looked awful, but it was kind of funny. I enjoyed it.
Squinty face.
yeah, what was that like?
Oh, why him?
Where he's marrying his daughter, Bryan Cranston's daughter. I actually just really
Oh,
enjoyed
yeah.
seeing Bryan Cranston just do another like screwball comedy thing. So it was funny. I don't know. I just wanted to get Joe worked up about James Franco. Was anybody else say anything like trailer wise? I'm not sure if I saw anything new or not, other than the new.
I saw a new Blade Runner trailer.
Oh, yeah,
that
me
I hadn't
too.
seen.
So I have a theory about Blade Runner. I think that Harrison Ford is in like 10 minutes of that movie because everything in the trailer he's in one room.
Yeah, Harrison Ford's like 80 years old, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, what do you want from the guy?
No, I
He's
understand.
not
but
like jumping off buildings and shit.
I feel like they're
anymore, you
being
know?
misleading in the trailer about how much he's actually involved. Like I feel like it's the
I-
entire movie, and then Mr. Gooseling finds him in a room for 5 minutes, and then the movie's over.
I don't know. I mean, first of all, if they're showing him in the trailer, he better not be in the last 5 minutes of the movie. That
I'm
would
just
be pretty
saying,
epic.
bro. I'm just saying.
But I
Count-
thought that I'm with Casey. I thought the trailer looked fucking great.
Yeah,
I
those-
am
Yeah.
very excited. So, yeah, we'll see.
It was good enough that Colleen, my wife Colleen, who is not typically a big sci-fi movie type fan, and I don't even know that she was a big fan of the original, thought it looked really good too.
I like the music. It's very like 80s retro sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on here, Casey or Cece, you just reminded me that you live in Atlanta. How did you have to ride out the storm?
Luckily, my neighborhood didn't really get hit too bad. There were a bunch of, I mean, Atlanta's mostly worried about our old trees falling over on our houses.
Right.
And we had quite a few of those in the neighborhood or like right outside our neighborhood. And most people lost power. I think most people just got it back today. So I had 2 days at home with some bread and milk and some very anxious doglets.
Wow.
And
What?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
about it.
we should say
I would
too.
not describe either of your dogs as doglets.
No, I
They're
have.
more like
I have
Okay.
doglets.
That I was at home with 2 hellhounds and
Um,
Kyle locked himself in his office. So it was, it might be a little bit like Mother. We may have lost it. I don't know.
We should say too that Mark and his burgeoning family were
Yeah.
safe and their house was unscathed, and so that's good news. And hopefully, I know we have a lot of listeners in Florida, so hopefully all of our fans made it out unscathed. We actually, we had a lot of people. It's really kind of cool. Like we talk a lot about Slack, which is like if you become a patron, you get invited into our Slack, but you could see how much of like a community is forming there because people were like inquiring about their, friends they made in there that they know are in Florida, and people were giving, people updates in there on how they were doing. So that was just a really cool
Yeah.
thing to see.
In Texas too, from a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I've already forgotten about that one.
And now,
Just kidding.
And
I'm
now
already
there's-
kidding. Jesus.
and
God.
now,
Yikes!
now Hurricane.
You know, when Joe says mean stuff, everyone laughs.
Well, we expect it
That's
from
because we
Joe.
expect it from him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
Joe has a cold black heart. I expect more from you, Schnorrs.
True.
You know, now we got Hurricane Jose coming up the East Coast, so maybe New England might get some.
It sounds worse coming from a Trump supporter, John.
You stop it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Joe.
Yeah, what's up, bro?
Jesus. Please let us know what we are drinking tonight.
Beer guts.
Oh, it makes me happy. The movie It. I think everybody knows it, loves it, is a part of it. There's a clown in there. His name's Pennywise. And if he's going to drink a beer, I think he's going to drink a beer from the fine folks at Clown Shoes Brewing.
That makes sense.
Out in good old Ipswich, Mass. And they do good things. And the beer I picked from them is their Galactica,
Nice.
which is a double IPA, super hoppy, really sort of on the bitter side. Comes in at about 8% alcohol, so it's up there. It's gonna make you feel good. Comes in 22-ounce bomber, so one of the bigger guys. I would say maybe 3-4 of these tops, and you probably shouldn't drive.
Oh, wow.
But if you were going to go down in a sewer, perhaps? I don't know.
Oh,
Joe-
absolutely! Like just
Oh.
knock back like 9 or 10 of these.
you
know,
want to be
split 'em
really,
up.
you want to be really drunk if you got to walk through some gray water.
You know, split them up with the rest of your like 8 or 9-year-old friends, however old these kids were. You know, have yourself a party and enjoy yourself.
Oh God.
No, Clown Shoes puts out really great beers. I mean, I think they're not a very old brewery, but you know, everything that they do is usually pretty good, and they distribute pretty far, so you can probably find them in your neck of the woods if you're in the continental U.S., as I hope you are. Clownshoesbeer.com is their website, and there you go, spooky time.
Is there anything more awkward than being out somewhere and ordering a Clown Shoes tramp stamp?
No,
No.
it's a
It's
valid point. I don't know if I've ever actually, like, I don't see them on tap a ton in my area. Like, we definitely get them in the liquor stores. But
I just remember I ordered one years ago. My wife ran a half marathon in Providence, Rhode Island, and I ordered. They had them on tap there, so I had one.
yeah, some of their beer names are a little uncomfortable. I think Muffin Top is like the other one I've
Yeah,
had.
like really? Come on.
There you go,
Come
guys.
on, bro. All right, Joe. Thank you for that. That is the beer recommendation, something you get every week here with Joe because you're just that lucky. It's time. Let us take a quick break and discuss it.
This is it, Senator. Your big break in TV. Up the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
John Schnorrs,
Eric.
you know, much to my dismay, it seems as if the work we're trying to do here every week is not really having any effect on the wider world. You know?
You mean with words? and
Yeah,
such?
yeah. I mean, you went to Duke, so I thought I
True.
could enlist you to try to help give meaning to the English language again against, you know, bad people out there. But
Mhm.
it's not working. So I think, you know, much like when Tinkerbell dies, we just have to think harder. We have to want it harder. You got to believe. Okay?
You haven't seen Peter Pan in a while, right?
We just have to believe, John. That's all
There we go.
it takes.
All right.
Have a little faith.
Peace, love, and pixie dust.
With that said, please bring us the word of the day. I really have not seen Peter Pan in a while. I just remember something about having to believe in Tinkerbell flying or some
Yeah.
shit like that.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Oh, if you don't believe, she drops dead.
Right.
I think those are the exact words that Peter Pan uses. Guys, you gotta believe, or she's gonna drop dead.
Today's
Wendy.
word, Joe.
Wendy, you dumb fuck.
No,
Start believing.
Let's keep this going.
I mean, Peter Pan was an asshole, but damn.
Today's word is
Wendy, you
buoyant.
fucking tart.
Okay, Joe.
All right, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Buoyant, B-U-O-Y-A-N-T, Buoyant means able or apt to stay afloat or rise to the top of a liquid or gas. It can also mean cheerful and optimistic, or, and this is usually said of the economy or business, involving or engaged in much activity.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
It can also mean you dead.
Apparently.
Very buoyant with you at the 10-year.
It comes to us from the late 16th century from the French buoyant or Spanish boyante, which is the present participle of boyar, which means to float.
Oh.
I'm gonna be
So what would
honest.
Chef Boyardee
Oh, first of
mean?
all, I almost made a Chef Boyardee joke. Second of all, when you said
Jinx.
participle, my nipples got a little hard. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, no, I know you like it. Lord.
Am I the only one that went to Beyonce?
Boyance, love it. All right, John. John Schnars.
Buoyant.
Yes.
aside from the
Jesus.
aside from the sewers, where did this here It movie come from?
God.
And what's it
So-
about?
Yeah, so It, also known as It Chapter 1, is, I mean, I guess we call it a remake because there is a film that precedes it. But it is the telling of mainly the first part, or I guess, I don't know, first chapter. Maybe Cece or Casey can tell us how the book is structured, but of the Stephen King novel, It, fairly well acclaimed and beloved. It's directed by Andy Muschietti. I don't know if you guys have seen this guy's name, but he's the director.
I believe it's Boyance.
Boyante. So he's directed 2 other films. One we reviewed for this here podcast. It was Mama. And his previous film was actually, I believe, the original Spanish language version of Mama. I think he's Spanish.
Interesting
Yes,
choice.
he's Spanish. Or he's Argentinian. So, but
You know,
yeah, so
Mama, Mama for All Its Faults was a pretty classy ass horror movie, so I could see it.
Yeah. I mean, I know Joe loves when I go deep on the description, but
Not just the
so
descriptions, John. Everything.
it is set in the fictional town of Derry, Maine, home to many a Stephen King tale. It's about the sort of return of Pennywise, or well, it's about the return of quote unquote It. But in the form of Pennywise, the dancing clown, he returns in 1988 to sort of terrorize the town of Derry by stealing many of its children. We see at the beginning him kidnap Georgie, who's the brother of Bill, who sort of becomes one of the main characters here. But the film is mainly set around a group of friends: Bill, Ben, Bev, Richie, Stan, Mike. I mean, we're not going to remember any of these kids' names. Let's just get that out of the way up
A
front.
whole lot of them.
Biv DeVoe.
But yeah, it's about a group of kids, sort of pre-adolescent or on the cusp of adolescence. I believe they're like 13 or 12. Some of them are 12, some are 13. They're in 9th grade, maybe like 8th grade.
So yeah, 13 sounds right.
Yeah, and it's sort of about them, you know, confronting life things, but really in the form of horrific people consuming clowns. So,
All right.
yeah.
Cece, all right, quick show of hands. Who here has read the whole book?
Oof.
Recently?
We're not
Or
ever.
altogether?
So I
Well,
reading
just so
because I didn't finish it for the book club. That's what I
okay.
mean. So
Just so
technically,
Damn it, see.
I know.
so
listen.
Cece and Casey have read the whole book. I have
Yes.
read like a third of the book, like 10 years ago. I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
So what do you think of this here movie?
Well, I thought I was super successful in not reading any spoilers or any reviews or kind of really even talking about it, especially from those who are fellow Stephen King fans. And I went in pretty open-minded. I will say I initially was not looking forward to their version of Pennywise, but though it was not perfect, I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was really close to the book and really close to the source material. And granted, it wasn't necessarily scary, but I thought that it was very well done. So I enjoyed it.
Joe.
Oh yeah. So I had seen the original a ton of times when it first came out. It was a made-for-TV movie, right? Like it was a
Yeah.
miniseries.
Miniseries, yeah. Or like a two-part or whatever.
But I remember a buddy of mine had like a black box, and they were showing it on pay-per-view. So like we watched it like over and over again. So I was a fan. I mean, I think everybody we've talked about before, like the ending of the miniseries is just awful. Like it turns out to be like a spider or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this big letdown. So
I kind of love it, but it's just me.
I was really looking forward to seeing this, just to kind of see what they did with it. And I think the cool thing is, and we'll talk about it more, like obviously there's going to be comparisons to the original, but like right off the bat, and I don't know like how much we want to spoil, but like the way Georgie gets taken, like I feel like there's one sort of shock moment where you're like, holy shit, like, okay, this isn't like a TV movie anymore. Like it's, you know, I think they kind of crank things up. I agree with Cece that it wasn't like super scary. Although I have seen like some people complaining about like the quote unquote jump scares. For me, I saw it at the drive-in, which was a super cool experience, but it does take you out of it because you're like sitting on a lawn chair watching this on like a big screen. You can see like the sky and everything around you.
Yeah, I think too.
This
Like,
guy is not scary, Joe.
because I saw some of that jump scare complaint too, but I think maybe we're a little immune to that because like we see so much garbage jump scare bullshit on this show because we review so many new releases that this was like a breath of fresh air to me.
And they all like all the jump scares felt, I don't know, appropriate might not be the right word, but like
weren't
they
cheap.
fit. Like they were not cheap. That's a perfect way
Well,
to do it.
we don't need to get into it. There was like one or two like noise-based jump scares that were kind of ridiculous, but I actually think they. I mean, I didn't have any problem with it at all. So whatever.
You didn't see Annabelle, John.
Yeah, which actually was the second movie, the double feature at the drive-in, which we did not stay for.
No.
But no, I mean, I'm going long-winded here, but like overall, I was a really big fan of this.
Casey.
So, to be fair, the last time I read the book was the year that Georgie died in this movie.
Oh.
And that's not even a joke. That's for real. I read it in 8th grade. So I was not, when I first heard them talking about doing a remake, I wasn't on board. It's like, we got the original. It's it's whatever. Tim Curry, blah, blah, blah. Wasn't sure how I was going to like it, but as I started getting closer, we started to see like the pictures of the clown and stuff like that came out. Like when they first showed Pennywise, the first time I thought he looked good. I thought it was clever how they did with the trailers and stuff like that. We never really heard him talk throughout leading up to the movie until they did that special like sneak preview thing that we talked about a couple episodes ago that Eric and I saw. You didn't really hear his voice. That's kind of what I was holding out for then.
That was pretty. That was like a pretty smart marketing thing that they decided to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that's what everybody remembers about the original movie. I saw there's somebody from Horror Hound. I seen him post on Facebook that says we have to remember the movie was not good. Pennywise
was,
or Tim Curry's Pennywise was amazing.
And all when
which I think is a pretty good important distinction.
When they showed that preview thing in the theater, I was in, all the normies.
So going into this though, then.
Sorry, you roboted out for a second, Casey. I was just gonna say when they showed that thing in the theater, like all the normies were like, "Oh hell no!" Like people were freaked out sitting in the theater, and I think it was a really smart thing to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. But so by the time this came around to release, I got really excited for it, especially when you started hearing the good reviews and stuff. I was pretty excited and on board and looking forward to it. I was like Cece, I kept myself in the dark. I only watched the trailer once, tried to stay away from it all. Getting into it, I have not been in my like film critic mind as of late when I go in there going in to watch a movie, been studying for tests, stuff like that. So it was kind of a nice break for me. And I was just excited to not be doing that stuff. And I ended up loving this from beginning to end. I did not have any real problems with it. It sucked me in. I thought the kids were fantastic in this movie. And I thought Pennywise was fantastic too. And I think it's great too because he didn't outshine Tim Curry, but he gave us his own Pennywise, which I think was just as good, if not better. So
yeah, and yeah, Schnars.
Yeah, I mean, I had never read the book. I've read a ton. I mean, we talked about it on the show. I've read a ton of Stephen King in my day, but I just never got to this one. I think it's super duper long, so that's can
Bro,
be somewhat daunting
it's
rather.
so long.
Yeah, it's really long.
Ugh.
That super duper is like the adjective, Joe. But but I had probably seen the original, like Joe, like I mean maybe 50 times. Specifically, I'd seen the first portion of the original because the original is broken up just like this is, where it's like the kids and then the adults. I loved that, and it was like one of the like kind of like touchstones. It's funny though, I probably haven't seen it in like 20 plus years, and watching this, I love this like a ton, and like we can talk about it as a remake. Like in my mind, this is almost like the perfect thing to be remade because,
Yeah,
as you
totally.
guys mentioned, like that original, like it's a huge touchstone for me. It like probably is one. It's one of these movies I don't talk about that much, but it's like really important for why I got into horror. But at the end of the day, like it's not a super great movie. It was fucking made for TV.
For starters, it was made for TV in the 90s, which means you were never going to be able to really go there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, and the fact they just made so many great decisions with this. One of them being they made it an R-rated movie, and we talked about it. I was going to say last week, but an episode back now with A Dark Song. But this is like an adult movie too. Like they don't. I mean, it is definitely broad in its appeal, and it's not like super hard to understand or anything. But they don't overly explain anything. I mean, part of that's from the source material. But it's they're dealing with like real people, real human emotions, and I don't know. It was really well done.
Yeah. This has been a really interesting, just like phenomenon. This whole thing, like I've seen this movie killed at the box office this weekend. It broke all these records, and it broke them in a way that like it only could have done if it drew a massive mainstream audience. And I think that we started talking a couple weeks ago about like I remember saying like 3 or 4 weeks ago like I think this movie's gonna be really big because I'm hearing buzz and we always have like the normie meter on this show where like did the person you work with who knows you're a spooky person, did they ask you about this movie? If so, then like there is some kind of mainstream permeation of the message about this movie. And I think like I've seen a lot of people, somebody the other day specifically that I follow that I think is a listener to the show is like, I had no idea there were so many fans of it until this movie came out. And I think like then I started thinking about myself and my own experience with it. I've never read the book. I've read a little bit of it. I've only seen the movie like one time when I was like 14 years old. I remember renting the double huge VHS thing.
Yeah.
I watched it one time. I liked it. But yet, just through being a horror fan and being around a lot of pop culture, the Tim Curry It Clown is seared into my brain. Like I can I've only seen this movie once. I can perfectly picture Tim Curry as this clown. And I always think of the scene with the laundry flying in the wind or whatever. Like that is to me like one of the scariest scenes ever. It's like a really subtle thing. And so like there's really something to that. Like I think that what this movie has really made me realize is that the image of Tim Curry as the It Clown is like a really profound part of pop culture in a way that I think a lot of people didn't necessarily realize until this movie came out. And I think it helped propel this to how much the success it's having. That said, like it's not a huge touchstone for me. I don't really have a lot of thoughts on the first film. I remember like kind of liking it. I probably didn't like the second half. That seems to be the one people have problems with. As a remake, I liked this a lot. I think that I really love that it goes there. It's rated R. We'll talk about it, but the child actors in this movie they're awesome. Like they're so well cast. They are dealing with like very adult material, both in tone and like emotional depth. And I think that they're handling it really, really well. I think it's directed really well. I didn't find it scary, although I think that maybe watching this like alone in the dark probably would be a much different experience and could be pretty creepy. I also think that the set pieces are a lot of fun. Like the Pennywise scare set pieces, even if they're not scary, they're all really like the way they're crafted is really fun to watch. I will say at the end of the day, like if you ask me which it is my it's like it's Tim Curry in that makeup. Like, and I don't know if it's probably just mostly nostalgia and just something imprinting on you when you're really young and why I find that so much scarier. that said, like I think this dude here is really good.
Mhm.
You know, I like that Tim Curry was like an older, like paunchy, kind of weathered looking clown. I don't know why, but that seems to fit with the character more to me. Like this guy's kind of like short and stringy and lithe, sort of. You know what I mean? Like,
He's a little like
they-
old timey.
he's got a different presence, which is totally fine. Like, and he does his
Right,
thing.
which
He does his
I
thing, and
appreciated that they gave him a whole different personality as opposed
Yeah.
to trying
It's
to
like-
recreate Tim Curry.
it's like Heath Ledger's a Joker, right? Like he really took
Yeah.
it in his own way, and it's fun to watch. But it didn't, for me, like surpass it, which is fine. It doesn't have to. That's
Yeah.
just a personal thing on my end. But I liked it a lot. I think it's definitely one of the better horror movies this year. I don't think it blew me away. I mean, I'm really curious to see what they do with the second one
Mhm.
because they claim they're going to get even darker, which I think could be really, really wild. But
Yeah, I'll be interested to see with the second chapter if they how they introduce their adult reactions to Pennywise. Like
Yeah.
if Pennywise kind of starts like showing up in their day-to-day lives, or if it's once they all come back to Derry, like in the book, because they don't really see or even remember Pennywise or each other or their like relationship with one another until they come back. So I think it'll be cool to see how they handle that too.
you could probably
Yeah.
make a supercut of this movie of just Pennywise like either in the dark or like peering around a corner, just like and then like moving back. It's a lot of that.
Yeah, it's funny. I like there's a lot of people and some of the chatter you're hearing about this is that it's like not quote unquote scary. Like
Mhm.
that's a little weird to me. Like
Well, listen,
I
it's,
don't
a,
think-
it's,
I
a,
don't mean like
creepy.
it's a subjective thing, right?
I just feel like we've gotten to this point where like audiences are and I'm not this is not a criticism necessarily of you, Eric. You're not the only one saying this, but like there is like we've like horror movies have gotten so freaking like tuned to scare the shit out of people, but in
Mhm.
that like Lights Out, like I look at the movie Lights Out from I think it was last year as like literally the like apex of tuning a film to just like scare the shit out of you, but not really like say anything, or do anything super meaningful. Like to me, it's scary, but it's like scary because you're like emotionally invested in characters. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
remember if any of the kids died, and I was kind of like, you feel their fear. Like that's like the kind of fear it is. It's not the same kind of like, I mean, we joke about like butt clenchy scary. Like this is not butt clenchy scary.
I do think that when they confront him in the house towards the third act, like that was probably the scene that came closest to like freaking me out because they do some
Yeah.
really, really interesting stuff in that scene.
So
Yeah.
I found it scary, quite scary myself, and like even talking to some of the jump scares and stuff. There's a scene, which they show a bit in the trailer when you see Pennywise's head sticking out of the water, and that scene in the movie when he kind of comes up out of the water, when he comes after the kid that's in the scene, and he's doing the shaking thing, the noise creeps up and stuff. That actually made me cringe a bit. It's like, oh Jesus, because it's once you get him moving so fast and everything, it was pretty scary. Now, granted, they leaned on that a time or two later on in the movie too.
Mhm.
They could have probably changed that up, but I still thought it was pretty effective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
No, sorry, go ahead.
I think that the most creepy and the most scary parts of the movie were Pennywise interacting with the children, and especially, like you said, when they kind of confront him in the house, and there's this, this showdown between the two entities. I think that's what was the pinnacle of scariness, or unease for the whole movie. Like the jump scares that people are complaining about. Like I enjoyed those, but I mean, I can see why, people weren't really fulfilled by that.
A little moment that actually made me really uncomfortable is when it's the opening scene when he's talking to him in the sewer to Georgie, and it's this thing where just like a little moment where his eye goes,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
like
Yep.
it drifts,
Or like when he like
Ugh.
shudders when he says he's Pennywise, the dancing clown. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to. I don't want to see
But like,
this
and
anymore.
the larger thing is like, even though I didn't feel scared, like it actually isn't super important to me because the heart of this movie is the kids' relationships, and like they're
Right.
Oh yeah.
there's such a great emotional core to this movie that it doesn't really matter to me if it's scary.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. I mean, they balance it pretty well with like some really funny moments. Like
Mhm.
I would say this movie was like legitimately funny. Like the kids I
Yeah.
thought were really good, and even in like some of the tense moments, like the like abandoned house that you were talking about, Eric, like they're still like kind of goofing around with each other, and like you get the feeling that they're doing that to kind of break their own tension or like their fear, but like
Yeah.
it's legitimately funny. So that kind of kills some of like your usual like butt clenchy like
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
definitely.
you know
Well,
nerves
honestly,
that you have.
I was like I'm really surprised that I wasn't more annoyed by the Stranger Things kid, because he's like the definite comic relief, and he's just like, but they really nail like that annoying tween friend who just was like
Right.
always talking about his
Yeah.
dick and
Oh,
balls.
he's
and, like,
awesome.
That
And that
kid stole the
neurotic
show.
kid was like 100%. Like
But
the neurotic
Rich-
kid was
so-
the best.
He's
thing.
so good.
So
He's so good,
Richie
yeah.
and Eddie, that's the two characters. The stranger kid is Richie, and Eddie is the kind of neurotic one. I've not seen kids or even just actors in general like portray source material that well, because reading the book or like even from the original movie, like they are so spot on that
Yeah.
also adds to just
Yeah.
the,
Which
like,
is also
Yeah.
like what
entertainment.
was missing from the like the
Right.
TV movie. Like I thought that they did a lot better here.
Hey, Harry Anderson is a national treasure. So
He is. He is. But let us never forget too that Emily Perkins from Ginger Snaps played Bev in the original It.
Oh wow.
oh, was there?
Yep.
Did
Mm.
not know that.
'Cause she was the one
Right.
I interviewed years ago, and she was telling me the story about how they were all terrified of Tim Curry and wouldn't talk to him on set, and he felt bad.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on Bill Skarsgård, who plays the
Mhm.
new, yeah, I thought it was fabulous.
You know what's
I like
you know
it.
what
Yeah.
Really, really good.
you know what's creepier than him dressed up as It? Just his regular face.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the video of him on Conan this week doing the Pennywise
I mean,
smile
that-
Yeah.
without his makeup?
Yeah, that
Fucking
part is
terrifying.
creepy. His
Dude-
face normally is not creepy.
Dude,
Did he do the
no,
eye thing
no,
too?
dude
Does
has
he
got
do
Yeah.
dude has a bit of
Yeah.
an intense face about him.
Yeah,
It's-
there's not
yeah.
much. Like I don't think they did any CGI
This is
to his
like-
actual face. Like it's fucked.
Yeah, he is. I
Um,
mean, I thought it was really well done. And I don't know, where did you guys land on the CGI? Because that's another, I think
think-
thing that you've heard criticism
I think
about.
there was one scene that I kind of gave a side eye, and that was about it, and it would just kind of pass quickly. And there was one little effect, like one little cut, where I was like,
Yeah, and now that I think about it, I know which scene it was, but I can't remember. Like it wasn't.
it
It
was
didn't
a-
bother me so much that I.
the one
on
was
to-
like it was one of those like fast motion Pennywise scenes where like
Mm.
a quick cut, and they were showing Pennywise, and it was obviously a full effect, like CG effect, and it just like it moved in a weird unnatural way, but like not intended. But whatever,
Yeah.
it didn't really bother me that much, honestly.
But I liked the other CGI where like when he's when you're in the sewer and you see him like in the box and he kind of unfolds himself.
Oh,
Mhm.
And,
that
like,
was probably the creepiest part. I thought.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
had a nice like Exorcist feel to it,
And
and,
there
I was
was-
like, "That's
There was a
it's
lot
little-
of practical stuff too.
yeah."
CC, can you
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit about some of the book differences, because that's another topic that's been coming up a lot, like just some of the changes with characters and stuff.
Yeah, and Casey, please feel free to jump in too, because I know I'm a little
Don't you
rusty
say
on it.
fucking
1988 was a long time ago.
Well,
CC,
I know between the two of us, we can handle it.
CC, if you're gonna run the book club, you need to be able to answer these
I
questions.
know, right? Look, this year, man, I've had to apologize to the book club because I have definitely been failing them. So again, my
People have been talking.
I don't doubt it, actually. So I think really the big differences are some of the I mean, the plot is a little different. Obviously, it focuses just on the kids portion, and in the book, you kind of you get kind of a flashback and forth between the kids or between the adults and the kids, because it's really the adults being rounded back up to go to Derry to kind of face Pennywise again. So obviously, just being on the kid side of the story starts out a little different, and your characters like Mike, who is the farmhand and he's homeschooled, he and Ben, their characters kind of change it up a little bit. Like Ben is seen as the new kid, and he like does all of this like background research on Derry because he doesn't have any friends. Well, in the book, Mike is your narrator, and Mike actually stays in Derry, stays behind when everyone else leaves, and he kind of brings everyone back home to fight Pennywise. Like he's really the glue of that relationship. Bev is a little different. She, in the book, she's one who kind of not single-handedly defeats Pennywise, but she has quite a showdown personally with him. And
I seem to remember her being like, and to be fair, this is somewhat true of this movie too, but her being this really strong presence that is kind of stronger than some of the other kids in the group.
Well, I mean, you do have there's quite a focus on her, like her integrity to deal with personal, like abuse, basically. Like her, in the beginning, when you first meet Bev, she's married to a super abusive husband, and they have this huge fight. And the night that she leaves to go back to Derry is like a really pinnacle moment for her. And she starts having flashbacks of her childhood, flashbacks of her father being abusive. And in the movie, he's a little more sexually abusive. There's hints of it.
A little more?
Well, I mean, he is intensely
Just a
sexually.
sketch.
I guess what I mean to say, in the book, there's only hints of that it's more physical than sexual. So in the movie, the sexuality of the abuse is a little more intense.
Yeah. Well, and I don't remember that from the original movie at all. Like, I think they made him purely like physical, and he was definitely concerned about her like hanging out with boys and like what that would like, you know, look like, but not because he was sexually possessive, just because he was like puritanical almost.
Yeah, I can't remember in the miniseries how that kind of relationship plays out, but I do know that you're right.
Not
like
good.
It's not good either way. So the other big difference that I think I really noticed was I was really excited to see a lot of the fears come to life, and they kind of allude to it. Like Paul Bunyan comes to life in the book, and it's a big deal. There's like a werewolf scene in the book that's a big deal. There's several, like Mike, his dad tells him a story, and it kind of scares him. It's not his family burning. That's the reason why he sees these hands coming out of, you know, the meat shop. So, I mean, there's a few changes that are quite large in comparison to the book, but I didn't really feel like it distracted from the movie itself. I actually appreciated that they decided, you know what, it's kind of our story, we're telling it this way.
I think one of the smartest tweaks was having the love story be between Bev and the main character. I mean, it just like, I mean, whatever changes it makes to other arcs, I think from a movie standpoint,
it makes it a little less complicated.
It's a little, it's just a little more straightforward.
And I will say though, and I think somebody mentioned it in our, you know, conversation beforehand, it's really strange that Casey brought up, like, when, I don't know how much I mean, it's not really a spoiler, most people know what happens, but when the kids are in the sewers and you see Bev in the deadlights, it's really strange that they had Ben, who has this crush on Bev, kiss her, and then she immediately is like, oh, I'm not even gonna thank you for.
Well, she has this moment.
Like,
yeah, she has this moment where she like recites the poem back to him that he had written to her, and you're like, oh, that's really sweet. I'm like, oh wow, are they gonna just like have them like be a thing?
And then happy now, no. And then she runs off and kisses Bill, and you're like, oh well, I mean, I guess that's real life.
Oh,
but...
Thanks for bringing me back to life, Fatty. I'm gonna go hang out with this kid now.
Jesus.
That's why I can relate to Ben in so many ways.
Oh, we haven't mentioned too. We haven't mentioned too how like terrifying the bully kid is in this movie.
Oh dear
Holy
God.
shit!
Yeah.
I was saying over email, like when I left the theater, I wasn't afraid of like Pennywise so much as that somebody's gonna tackle me in the parking lot and carve their initials into my body.
The kid is so aggro.
Holy
like,
shit!
Just, that's not like bullying. That's like borderline murder.
It's
That's the straight assault.
But it was like
Now, didn't that kid have a bigger part in the movie, in the book?
There's quite a conversation, and Evan really mentions it a lot, and Slack and does a great job of explaining it. But yes, in the book, you kind of see more of Pennywise's influence and the way that he can change the course of a situation. So obviously the bully is abused by his father, and his father is also super crappy. I mean, the parents in the book are not the greatest parents, but there's not such a quick turnaround from Pennywise, like basically showing up and the bully saying, all right, well, I've kind of assaulted these kids and now I'm going to shoot my dad.
To be fair though, like he seems already there.
this.
Like but it wasn't a leap that doesn't seem believable because he already seems homicidal from the beginning.
My guess is they cut like a lot of that stuff sitting on the cutting room floor, because like they show, I don't know if you guys picked up, maybe some of you saw, but like that same sequence with like the woman in the like audience of like a Barney-esque show or whatever, like that kid show. They show that like a couple times. I think it's in like Eddie's mom might have it on the TV, or like when Eddie's like passing through that, because that was the other piece, at least from the original movie, that I remember was Eddie's mom being like even kind of like more abusive and like
she's
crazy.
She's very like Norma Bates. Like it is, like I said, all of the parents are horrible parents.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like that's one of the changes, at least again from the movie and what I remember. Like the book and the story, or like the original kind of like Stephen King idea, I think is very much about like exploring. It's obviously about kids like growing up, right, and like that, but it's also about the things that scare you and like how that carries through the rest of your life. And you kind of see it in full circle with the way that the parents in Derry behave. And there is this kind of like undercurrent of like Derry being cursed. I mean, they actually talk a little bit about it in the movie, but there's a lot that could be teased out there. And I don't know. I mean, it's where I'm super interested to see where they go in the second one, because in the original, the made for TV thing, like it wasn't. I think they can do a lot more. It can be a lot more nuanced, especially if it's rated R. So they can take it in some pretty crazy places.
Like the one thing I really remember from the book is that because he has all this like unlimited space, he spends a lot of time building up how cursed the town is and how it's just like something. This like there's this great. I actually do remember this. There's this great mood setting about like how something is just wrong. But, and like nobody's acknowledging it, and they, like you said, they pay a little lip service to it here, but it's something that's easier to just keep reinforcing in a book.
I mean, because at the beginning of the movie, you see that there's a curfew. Like the kids are getting out of school for the summer, and there's a 7 o'clock curfew, and even the principal's like, okay, here's enjoy summer, here you go, but be home by 7. And then later on, the kids kind of mention like, all this stuff keeps happening. All these kids keep going missing. Like Derry's a super messed up place to live and grow up, and nobody wants to change anything or like pay attention to it. So, I mean, it is obviously a lot easier, and Stephen King is very long-winded in reminding us of that. But
they could have actually because there's an opportunity to hammer it a little more, that they maybe. I mean, it comes back around because of the one kid's mom and the pills or whatever. Like that, I read that as like she doesn't want him to go out because of being afraid of the town or whatever. And they could have maybe put a finer point on that when all that's kind of like teased out. But I don't know why I just said teased out. I think you said a schnorrs. Now it's my brain.
I like it.
Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry, no, I literally just have one question about like the book versus the movie. Did Ben have inverted nipples in the book as well?
Oh my God, Joe! I knew you were gonna bring his inverted nipples up. I knew it.
Well, no, fellas, I felt the special kinship to my fellow inverted brethren.
Is it time to let new listeners know a secret about you, Joe?
Well, the secret's out, kids.
I don't know that it's a secret anymore.
Oh my God.
Well, the secret is that he was on. He has a trick that he does, and he was on MTV back in the day. That's the real secret.
MTV and Jenny Jones.
Yeah,
things happen.
You were on Jenny
So maybe
Jones?
Ben's future is pretty bright.
Wait a second. You were on Jenny Jones too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I thought we had talked about this. Yeah.
Well, Joe,
wait,
it was like 8 years ago.
We need to talk about this now.
Go ahead, Joe.
So my nipples are inverted, and I don't know why, like me and a buddy of mine came up with this, but I put like Q-tips in them, and he would toss onion rings, and like we would make it was like a game.
We talked about that part. The going on Jenny Jones part, I do not.
Well, he's on that.
I was on this old show called MTV Oddville, and then from there, when I was in college, I was on Jenny Jones doing the same thing.
You just did the circuit, is what you're saying?
Yeah, well, two if you call 2 shows.
We definitely told that
YouTube.
No, it's not actually. And like there's a few people from work that actually listen to this, but like they know I was on one of those shows, but like nobody knows like why. So if they're listening, like now they do.
Yeah, I remember we definitely told that story like 8 years ago when the show started, but it's been a long time. Yeah. So now people know. There you go. Yeah. Joe, it's hilarious because I had that exact thought, but I wasn't going to bring it up.
Well, I mean, a little like tear rolled down, and I'm like, finally, the inverted nipple community is getting their.
You know what that is, Joe?
That's
that's representation. You know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I just
You
thought it
can't-
was hilarious though because that you brought that up because we had the whole family went to the movie last night and we had one of my daughter's friends with her and she actually mentioned that she was distracted by the fat kid's inverted nipples the entire
We're people too, guys. We're people.
I was
Well,
like,
there is an
"People are
extended
different."
there is extended like shirtless scenes with the kids, so it's like
Mhm.
you know, it's right they're right there. Imagine those things in IMAX.
Oh. Sorry, I derailed the whole show.
I want somebody to Photoshop Pennywise's eyes in them.
Oh, Lord.
And then one
No.
just goes.
You
I-
let those beautiful things be just as they are.
I was
Just as
just
God made them.
what I was gonna say before that whole conversation. Does anybody have any like kind of scenes they really appreciated or enjoyed that we haven't
I
talked
mean,
about?
I mean, not that we haven't talked about the scene where Pennywise is kind of holding Eddie captive in the house, and Richie and Bill are like, you know, I forget who tells him that they aren't scared of Pennywise, and Pennywise kind of brings up that it was scary for Georgie. Like that whole scene was very, very well done and very, it was crafted very well. So I liked that a lot.
I did not
actually like-
remember the like other sort of monsters from the original movie. Like I thought what was there was the leper. I thought it was like
liked-
super scary.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool because like he sort of manifested as things each kid was scared of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I also really like one of the ones I thought was scary to myself was in that house scene towards the end after they have their little showdown with Pennywise and he kind of retreats back to his lair when they it seems like they're kind of getting the best of him and stuff, and watching him when he had that big spike through his head and he kind of
Oh yeah.
he jerkily backs into the shadows in that hallway. That was terrifying because
That whole
you think of monsters coming out of the shadows. That's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Though all the scenes in the house were really, really well done, really good stuff. I will say, if I have a complaint, it's that this movie is a little too long for me, and I think I felt it dragging in places. It's not, I don't know, 2 hours and 15 minutes, man. Like it has nothing to do with this movie or any movie. I think we've covered this on the show. Under 2 hours at least, man. Like, come on.
Well, I just think that like if you're gonna go for 2 hours, then let's clip some things. And I feel like the things that they clipped probably would have been more pertinent to leave in, and they could have clipped out some,
Like, I didn't-
scenery shots or them riding their bikes.
Like I didn't need a 5-minute montage of them cleaning the bathroom. You could have showed me like
right.
two
Like I got it.
two quick
Which-
shots, and I could have picked that
I
up.
kind of loved that because it was like super 80s where they had like
Exactly.
the music playing in the
I
background.
know,
Like,
I
true.
know, I know.
I will
it
say
might
that
as well have been that song from Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah.
the blood coming out of the sink was a super awesome. I liked that, and I did like the Pennywise stack of dead kid debris in the sewer
Mhm.
and all the kids around it. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. What's the deal? What's the deal at the end of the book? Like, is that a thing? The tower with the kids floating?
Well, I haven't finished the book in so long.
Just
I don't-
skip to the
I
last
don't remember that
chapter.
from my foggy memory either.
Yeah.
One thing about the book that I thought was cool
I'm gonna look it
that
up.
I thought that they did in the movie was in the book there was a thing they kept talking about especially during that final showdown was the deadlights,
Yeah.
which is something with that it had, and I remember vividly in the book having a really hard time picturing what the hell they were talking about, and they did something with it in the TV movie that was with the crappy spider stuff, and it just didn't make any sense. This time around, I'm assuming there's a scene towards the end with Bev that we see the deadlights, what I'm assuming is the deadlights, and they didn't even call it that, but for me it clicked in my mind. It's like, oh shit, that's what the whole thing was about.
Deadlights.
Which there's a scene where Pennywise opens his mouth when he's got Bev, and he's like, "You're not scared, you will be." And he starts to open his mouth, and you see the little 3 swirling lights way down inside of him. That was what I think it is. I don't know what
That
they
was
are
a cool
still, but I
scene.
thought it was a good
It's
representation.
very Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
What's in the box? Cool, man. Yeah. It didn't blow me away, but I thought it was pretty solid and had some creepy moments. It's got feelings, this movie. You know?
Yeah, it's like if you enjoyed Stand By Me and you wanted to be kind of creeped out, then you should definitely watch it.
It's interesting. A thing I learned this week is that I guess Stephen King has said that he considered Stand By Me a trial run for this.
Yeah,
And so
I
he
mean,
was
which
basically
is pretty.
you can see the parallels with the kind of coming of age stuff, but it's interesting to look at the two films that way of like, oh, trying to work out the way you kind of portray those relationships and stuff. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think you can make a lot of comparisons to this and Stranger Things, which people are going gaga for. But I don't know. To me, like I thought this was far and away like much better than Stranger Things, and kind of what I wanted Stranger Things to be.
I can agree with that.
I don't need to pick one because they're both excellent and I love them.
Good.
But it definitely, I mean, listen, the timing could not be better for it to have come out. Like Stranger Things, like generated all this energy around kids and horror / sci-fi weird stuff. And like you have one of the main characters, like, yeah, it definitely hits on a lot of the same notes. It's, you know, it's set, it's like a period piece of a sort, like totally makes sense. But I don't know. I mean,
I think to me, like, and I talked about it before, like the fact that there's like some lighthearted going on in this makes it far and away. Like Stranger Things, like I just watched it and I'm like, you just want to go cry in a tub. Like those kids' lives suck and those kids suck. Like,
oh my God. So brutal.
You know, fuck Barb.
Jesus.
You just get right out of here.
Didn't she just get nominated for an Emmy or something?
Did she?
No,
I just read that. I thought I just read that today. It just happened.
Well,
right?
the Emmys are on Sunday. Like she didn't just get nominated. I'm pretty sure she was not nominated.
They decided to throw her in there.
I'm
Just
No,
gonna-
Stranger Things is like Stranger Things is the front runner for.
Hey,
best
John. July 13th, 2017. Stranger Things. Barb gets Emmy nomination for Guest Actress.
Oh.
That is crazy. That is totally the Emmys just like trying to pander to like, you know, pop culture or something. I don't know. That's craziness. I mean, she was fine. I'm not saying she was. It was more the
like what?
The character captured the hearts.
She's
in
America's
my-
sweetheart, John. You shut your mouth.
Yeah. No, it's fair.
I don't know. She's in like 3 scenes in the whole fucking show, so I understand what you're saying.
She's a loser. Like you're hanging out with your other friends, like banging inside. Like go home. Like you suck.
Good God.
Oh man.
Well, I guess I'll just sit here by the
Get this
pool.
Oh man. Yeah. No, it really excited. I mean, it sucks that we got to wait till 2019 for the second one. Come on, producers.
I cannot
get your
wait
act
to see
together.
I cannot wait to see who they cast for adults.
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole thing, like them announcing, you know.
It's interesting too, because I didn't look up the director at all before this, and then you guys talking about how he directed Mama. I was reading an interview with him this morning, him and his wife, because his wife's like the executive producer on this, and they were talking about some of that stuff, and he was talking about how he would love to have Jessica Chastain as the older Bev.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how they were friends, but now it makes sense because he's worked with her. So
Yeah.
I love Jessica Chastain. She can do no wrong in my book, so that's cool.
I do too.
Agree.
yeah.
All right,
Look at what
guys.
she is.
It. Would you recommend it? And if so, should people go out to the theaters? Cece?
Yes, I would say so. In theaters.
Joseph?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Casey?
If you haven't seen it yet, stop listening to this. Go now.
Schnars?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes. And if you miss in the theaters, like it can make a really creepy, like, hey, I'm alone by myself and I'm gonna watch this kind of movie. So
Yeah, I disagree with Casey. I mean, we got like 15 minutes left. Like, just wrap up the episode.
all right, guys, that's gonna do it for our It discussion. Let's take a quick break so that we can do some fan mail.
It is night. It is cold. It is coming. The fear that lives in the fog. John Carpenter's The Fog. Give thanks it won't be here until next year. And for all those who can hear my voice, look into the darkness across the water. Look for the fog. Coming soon from Avco Embassy Pictures.
Greetings from Tromaville. This is Lloyd Kaufman, president of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger. You know, folks, when we're not making those great movies like Romeo and Juliet and Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, the Troma team likes to kick back and listen to Bloody Good Horror, because Bloody Good Horror is the best television there is.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back.
Your little Corey Feldman dancing
Oh, dude, that's
Fucking-
that's total Corey Feldman dancing. You're
will
right.
give me nightmares for a
Yeah.
week.
Man, I gotta say, Schnars, I was really tired today. I had to work the late shift last night, and that sucked. But it feels good to be back. I was bummed we had to miss a week.
It's always rough. Listen, we're in the spooky season though. This is our time to shine, Eric.
You know, being here talking about horror movies with you guys, it just feels right.
This is the time to remember.
Yeah.
All
By the way,
moments last
I-
forever.
I love The Fog, and I had no idea that was the
Joe
trailer.
Joe totally called that. That's great. That was great.
Yeah,
Mm.
solid.
All right, guys.
This is the time.
Joe, I'm doing some rearranging of my top 10 list here. Here's
Yeah.
my I am bumping Split below both A Dark Song and The Black Coat's Daughter. I've made my decision. Those are
Oh
my
dear God!
I'm championing both of those movies this year. So
Wait, what's happening?
no,
I
I'm
already
gonna do
closed
it. I've got it on my end. Don't worry about it. I'll send it before the end of the show.
All right. I mean, I got
but-
it in front of me. If you want to just tell me again here.
No, I got to look at it. It's fine. Thank you though. I appreciate
Okay,
your.
keep me
I
posted.
really actually do, Joe. Appreciate your commitment to this bit. So, thank you. for
I
that.
am pretty much using yours as the starting point for mine. So.
Perfect. This is gonna be the year when my list most resembles the rest of them, and it's gonna be glorious.
I may like a week before send you a completely fucked up list and then just use yours.
Info@bloodygoodhorror.com. First one from Henry. Hey BGH crew, I was accused of misleading the podcasters by Eric a long time ago when I sent this picture of 2 festive Halloween pineapples, implying I had swiped the picture from some online festive pineapple photo gallery like a criminal. So to prove that you really do have support from way out here in the Pacific, I have provided more evidence. Cherish this new photo. There is more to come. Love the podcast, and I wish I could make it out to Wisconsin for some spooky schooling. So just to refresh your memory here, Schnars, I actually remember this, that he sent this. And then this is him on a beach. I think he's in Hawaii. Oh, you're going to... It's shit. I can't hit the picture.
wow.
The picture of him
Wait,
is too big for the chat, but he posted a picture
Oh,
of him in his Brock Lesnar versus Candyman t-shirt.
Oh,
gorge.
Looking like a... Bro,
Where
dude.
is he?
He looks
Where
like
is
Guys,
he?
we made it to Hawaii.
This looks like
How
a
about
dude
that?
who might surf. She lived in Hawaii. I guess that's a place to do it.
Cool
Yeah.
story, bro.
So that was from Henry. Thank you for that. Next up, Cody sent me an email with about 1 million thoughts on it that we've already covered, and I can't read on the show.
Synopsize for us.
Does this not? Here's his question: does this knock Split as your second best of the year? To which I say no, it's not. This is pretty. It's on my list. It's going to be, but it's a little low. So there you go. This is my one question I chose to answer. Next up, an email
About
from
you.
and yeah. Well, what about you guys? Do you think this will make your top 10? That's actually why I asked.
Maybe, yeah, probably, maybe.
Yep.
Sounds like you haven't put as much thought into it as I have, CC.
Nope, I'm not. I don't normally think about it until I get like the second email from John saying, last call or you're not going. And I'm like, oh, well.
Fair.
I was actually thinking about that earlier today. This is going to be pretty high for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm probably in that same boat. I
It's a-
haven't seen that many movies this year though, so
It's an interesting question because my thing is that I just wasn't that fired up when I got out of it. And that's the kind of my You know, it was just like, oh, that was pretty good. Like, I don't know, it didn't inspire me that much, I guess, but
Oh.
it is what it is. I was pretty. I was
That's fair.
tired.
That's a fair assumption and whatnot. But I was pretty geeked about it when I got out of there.
Yeah, and you got like I said, when I feel that, I kind of go with that instinct. So it's
Yeah.
cool. I get it, and that's why I don't think anything else is gonna supplant Get Out this year, unless Mother just ends up being the right, perfect kind of batshit crazy, and then maybe the last thing that has a chance. So we'll see.
We're pulling for it.
Next up, Nathan. This email was titled "My Kids Are Creepy." I thought after having kids that my house would be more normie friendly, toys, pink bedrooms, and whatnot. But if anything, it can be at times considerably creepier. Thanks to my toddler, there is almost invariably a balloon hanging around somewhere. For the most part, it will stay in the ceiling, but after a few days, as part of its slow death from healing and hemorrhage, it reaches a point at which its buoyancy comes into.
What does he win? What does he win?
Nothing. Comes into
kind of just like a boom.
If he comes out to the gathering, we can work something out. But
We should do it like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Well, if you come out to the gathering, we'll buy you some cocaine. How's that? It reaches a point.
He's not having any
It reaches a point at which its buoyancy comes into perfect equilibrium with the atmosphere, and it floats around my house at head height, moving with slight undulations wherever the air currents take it. On occasional nights while my wife and I are watching TV, one of us will catch out of the corner of our eye one of those rubber specters floating into the living room and pause to consider us for a moment before picking up a new stream and departing abruptly for the kitchen. One night, I'd even made a note of a Beauty and the Beast balloon downstairs before mounting the staircase to see why my daughter was crying. Upon reassuring her, turning off her light and backing out of her room, I turned around into the face of a googly-eyed beast, which had followed me up the stairs. This time, my daughter had to come out of her room to see why I was crying. Even when there are no balloons in the house, my 2-month-old, who is now able to make earnest eye contact and provides us with generous smiles, has a habit of breaking eye contact with me and instead giving her a huge smile to something looming just behind my shoulder.
Oh,
of course, nothing is ever there, but the sincerity of her smile is enough to make me ever so briefly forget about maintaining muscle tone in various parts of my body. Am I the only one who experiences these subtle everyday horrors of having children in the house? I'll tell you, my biggest horror of having a kid is when I hear water splashing and then I look and I don't see my kid. I know it's one of two things: she's in the toilet, or she has found the dog's water and has dumped it all over the floor. That's terrifying to me.
I know that balloon fear all too well. Like, once you get into like birthdays and stuff, like those things will troll you through the house for like months.
I have to say, he was very eloquent. I enjoyed hearing this.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot.
I have a dolphin balloon stalking me actually right now. It's across my bedroom here. So
all right, that's info at bloodygoodhorror.com. Next up, John Schnars, please bring us Twitter while I definitely pay attention and rearrange my top 10 list.
It's actually a miracle that I started looking this up about, I don't know, 5 minutes ago, because no one had mentioned it, or if you did in the chat, I didn't see it.
Almost more effort than your word of the day. I like it.
Oh, stop. All right, so we've got a couple BGH classics. These are folks who are going through some of the back catalog and letting us know about inappropriate, typically, things that we said in the past. So a couple of these, Library of Congress, that's at Library of Congress. Episode 352, someone shows a fan photo of the BGHT. Eric says, "That looks killer in red." Mark says, "That is so red." John says, "Everybody simmer down," and then Joe makes orgasm sounds.
Yes, you do.
Our shirts look fucking amazing in red, and you can order them on our website.
True. So then Skizbot actually submitted a bunch, 3 here, from a vast array of episodes. So he must really just be pounding through some of these classics. So episode 76, Drag Me to Hell. Quote, "This show will be around until fuckable robots, and then all bets are off." That was Eric.
Yep, I stand by that. We've had that one submitted before, and it's still sage.
This one is actually super relevant. Well, just it's always relevant. It's evergreen. At Skizbot. So he says, Eric and Mark mentioned finding music for Joe's beer segment, then say they got lazy, but they'll do it real soon. You want to guess the episode number?
So wait, where are we now? We're at 440 something. It's got to be a long ass time. Let's say 123.
It's 118. Really good.
Because I knew Joe joined around 100, and I assumed the beer thing started recently after that. So
yeah.
Man, that was
Yeah.
good.
So last one. This one's just gross, but I'm going to read it anyway. Episode 8. So it is an air quote regarding the ending of I Am Legend. It's like when you go to drop a deuce and just fart.
Yeah. Yeah, the phantom shit. Yes.
Beautiful.
Phantom shit.
That is 100% what the ending
There
of
was
the
a
movie's
lot
like.
more potty talk back in the day, I think.
Yeah.
So, all right, we have like legit a ton of Ask BGHs.
Oh.
This is what happens when you get
listen,
backed up.
it's 9:20. I give you permission to use discretion, and we can save some for next week.
Okay. All right. So Skizbot sent in a couple. I'm gonna only go with one. Anyone else excited to hand out candy this Halloween? Why do I love it so much? These moochers are taking all my candy.
I don't get the
Yes.
chance in my apartment. I don't know that I actually love handing out candy though. It's kind of like I'd rather just sit and watch a movie. But
You can do
really
both.
love. Yeah, you can do both.
I will say
but
though, I do really love the picture of like looking out and just seeing
Yeah.
all those trick or treaters in your neighborhood. Like,
Yeah,
that's kind of
That's
cool.
pretty
I
awesome.
live for that
I
shit.
love-
And those kids, as far as calling, I mean, them being moochers and stuff, they come to our house, they earn that candy.
Yeah. I've said this before. We had like some cul-de-sacs in our neighborhood that have like rich houses, and if you walked all the way out there, A, it was pitch black, and B, they would give you like full Snickers bars.
Oh, those are
Yeah.
the ones.
Those are the
If-
peeps.
Kids would just come to my house because our neighborhood is not really a neighborhood. So they drive, like, it's gotten to where kids are in cars and they jump out of the car, ring the doorbell, grab the candy, and then get back in their car. And that's not the same. I need you to walk down my street and come to my house.
Yeah. We had that one year, somebody at the pickup truck full of kids driving them down the road doing that, and I actually got in the truck.
I
Well,
do.
that'd have been fine if like that they were like hordes of kids, but this is like one kid every 45 minutes.
I will say that like it's tough with dogs because when
Mhm.
you have
Yeah.
dogs and 50 people over the course of a night ring your fucking doorbell and you have to keep like restraining them, like it kind of loses its luster after a little while.
Right.
Pro
think-
tip: don't have a dog.
No! I think that's
No.
why they don't come to my house, to be honest, because Brody and Murphy like to sit in the bay window and growl as people walk by. So I
Yeah.
think they're just like, we're not bothering.
The
this
last time we
house."
were in the house, I don't even remember what we did. We probably just stuffed them in a room somewhere and hope they didn't pee on the floor.
Yeah.
All right. We got to keep this moving. These stories are obviously amazing. How would so this comes from @lycanthropology, our friend Alyssa. How would Pennywise get you into the sewer?
I think we established that at the beginning of the show.
Cheetos.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Cheetos for sure.
Honestly, a nap. Like, hey, you can nap whenever you want down here.
Yeah, I would go with that one.
So Nick Almond Scott, that's @Nick Almond Scott, says, "What horror property do you think can put up box office numbers like it?" I mean, none. Like, it's the second largest R-rated horror film opening ever.
What was the first?
Or not horror film, sorry, second largest R-rated film opening ever.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I mean, these are like legit crazy numbers. So,
But
I
do
don't
you think that it has anything to do with the fact that like this is the lowest box office since, the 90s or something? Or do you think that it's just
no,
because it's that
doing 100 million in your opening weekend is bonkers
it's still
high.
impressive?
It's
Yeah,
like really,
exactly.
really high. And for an R-rated movie, it's like there's only been like 3 R-rated movies that have gotten that high ever.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess there's maybe I was gonna look and see if there's maybe PG-13 movies that have got. I don't think
I don't know.
even then have. So,
I think the Flatliners remake will come close.
What? No.
yeah, strong play. Yeah, I mean, like, The Conjuring, which was like pretty popular, 40 million opening weekend. Like,
That's a good point.
Paranormal Activity 3, which is potentially like the height of that, series' powers, 52 million. So, we're talking like crushed. So I don't know. I think it's like really crazy. It literally, Paranormal Activity 3 is the second largest supernatural horror opening weekend, according to Box Office Mojo. So, all right, let's keep it moving. Christian, that is another another Christian. Can y'all share your thoughts on the Wandaverse movies? Haven't heard you talk about that recently.
I already brought him up
That's
once this show. So.
Winky face.
That seems like sarcasm.
Yeah. Christian, you stop it. So at Hamos asked, how did you feel about the sound design? Did you like the music choice for the rock war scene? What did they play? It was
don't
like
remember
Led
the-
Zeppelin? Well,
Wait, I didn't hear the question. What was the question?
Oh,
how did you feel about the sound design? And then he asked specifically about the rock war, the music over the
Oh,
rock
the
war.
rock-
because it was like, was it?
I
it
thought
was
you
something
said
I liked, and I don't remember what
I
it was.
thought you said the Iraq War, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Did I
Yeah.
miss something?
The rock war, when they're like throwing rocks at
Like
the
this
police.
movie is set before both Iraq wars, John.
I'm gonna find this. Damn it! Oh, was it an AC/DC song?
Maybe. That sounds reasonable. In any event, I thought the sound design was great. And I don't remember the other music choices, but they definitely used a lot of the like nostalgia grabby.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like time period relevant, but I feel like it was almost more like 70s and early 80s, and not necessarily like.
Oh,
well, I
we
guess
didn't
they
even
did have
mention. There's a sick.
They did have new-
Oh,
There's a sick-
Antisocial by Anthrax.
That's it.
There's a sick
Yes,
Nightmare on
and
Elm
I
Street
loved it.
reference. The theater's playing, I think, part 5, which is the Dream Child, which is one
Yes.
of my favorites, and I'm the only person who loves that one.
I really liked the sound design in the fact that like you had like the homage to the time period, but that it wasn't heavily reliant on it like a lot of movies are doing. Like the soundtrack wasn't basically the pop songs of that decade.
Agree. All right.
Cool, thanks.
I didn't want to like cut anybody off, but I was like, we're gonna keep moving. So Frank, that's at Frank V1313, says, with the success it is having, do you think it's time for another Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
No.
No.
I don't know if he's being serious, but I'm going to say no to.
No, they tried that one. It didn't work.
Although, did you
Yeah.
see there was a poster floating out there for a new Halloween thing? The poster was actually pretty dope. It was illustrated. Let's see. I'll get it.
Let's just move on.
No, it's really.
I mean, whatever. Like, I am still, chafing from you guys busting my balls about the last Nightmare on Elm Street not being sort of like sexual enough. I can't remember exactly what my point was, but I do think there's something to be said for if they like got a good script and did something that actually like, addressed some of the real creepy shit that goes on in that series.
No, that's true.
Instead of
Bold
like,
words, John. If they had a good script. Well, if
That's
they
asking
made
a
it
lot.
good,
yeah,
I think I would be okay with it.
check it out. All right, we're gonna move on while Eric is doing whatever he's doing. So Ben at Burninator Ben says, "Do you think we'll ever get past loud noise jump scares as a trope in modern horror movies, or are they here to stay?"
I
Never.
think
Why would they?
Yeah, they're here to stay because we literally have theaters with like shaking seats and stereos in your headrests. So yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
here.
it's an easy thing to do badly and cheaply, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have to watch a damn commercial before every movie at my one theater about how they've added extra speakers
Yeah.
Oh, really?
to the theater.
Nice.
YOLO.
I was thinking about how Joe and I are both terrified of the germs on those leather seats at the theaters when I was
Oh.
in the movie theater.
Just a wide
I
awake
did my
nightmare.
hood thing.
Oh,
like
my
those-
theater finally got the leather seats. I ignored all of Joe's comments about dirty people in the chairs and enjoyed myself.
Some of the
You
ones,
take your
the,
own
the
blanket.
particular theater that I saw it in, so like half the theater serves food, the other half doesn't, and the half that doesn't, all the seats in the middle are starting to get really worn out, and some of them are like down to like the foam underneath, and they haven't fixed them, and it's like it's getting a little ridiculous.
What were the bathrooms covered in urine this time?
A little bit of urine, like more than I would like to see, but much less. Much
I don't
less
need to know about
than it has been.
A little bit
Did you
is still
hear
too
that
much.
episode? Oh my god.
No, I was not.
There's a lot of urine in my
I'm glad I
theater,
missed
John.
it.
I don't know if you know this.
All right, I'm keeping it moving here. Tim,
Are you?
that's at Womble TJ, asks, was Pennywise reduced to an every 5-minute jump scare? After an intro that proved they were going for it, he wasn't threatening.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I think there are moments in the movie when I felt like I wish he felt like more of a threat, but I did not think that it was overly jump scary.
Yeah.
Agree. With
And
her.
to be fair, what he does in the beginning of the movie is like pretty effed up, so it buys you some goodwill, I think, for a lot of it.
Okay, so Kitty Bear, that's at EvilLyn822, had a couple questions. The main one I'm going to ask, because it's probably most relevant for our conversation. How did you feel about the buck teeth? That was the only part of Pennywise's look I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah.
They weren't really buck teeth. They were like vampire teeth or something. It was like...
I was
They
going to say,
were they were buckish.
I wonder if it was more of that. It's interesting that you say it's more vampirish because he's supposed to be like feeding off of the energy and like the fear of these kids.
Or like
so it would make more sense that like
Nosferatu style.
Yeah, it's of that era. So I didn't really like them, but the more I think about it in those terms, it makes sense, I guess.
I thought they accentuated that creepy ass smile, so I was fine.
Yeah,
with it.
that's true too.
They were definitely weird, but didn't bother me. Last one here, Bruno at Bruno the Weber asks, if you got it, should you flaunt it?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yes, I agree. But that's all we got, guys.
No, it's not
Very
Schnars.
good.
I have this picture of the it guy smiling, and you tell me that's a
Oh.
normal looking
That's
person.
not, well, that's not his normal smile. That is the Pennywise
Did
smile.
Did you see the video though? It like takes him literally 0 effort to get into that face.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's a professional actor, man.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
he had to like perfect it.
Just saying.
Goddamn nightmare to look at.
Yeah, but I watched that clip from Conan, and he perfected that by pulling his t-shirt when he was a kid, pulling his t-shirt up over around his face like Cornholio, and doing that smile and chasing his little brother around.
Yeah,
the house.
I totally had an act like that when I was a kid. Yeah. info@bloodygoodhorror.com. We're also on Twitter at BG Horror. Next week, Darren Aronofsky's Mother. Pretty excited for that. Also, like we said, we're looking
Bravo, guys, bravo.
We're looking for people in the Milwaukee area to help us. We need a street team, y'all, for
Oh,
Bloody
yeah.
Good Horror.
And you guys can get tickets to that at bloodygoodhorror.com. We got a big old banner up there. You can click on that shit.
It's true.
Fucking click it, man.
So yeah, that is I guess that's gonna do it for our review of It. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye.
Okay, goodbye now.
Bye-bye.